Hey everybody, I'm the Ranting Monkey, and today we're going to talk about why I'm the Ranting Monkey. I was originally going to make this video the other day, and I'm kicking myself for not doing it because the video that inspired it is no longer available. Somebody else beat me to a response, and the original creator took down her video. But it is a point I want to address because it came up kind of in a discussion I was having on the Mundane Matt video that I highlighted yesterday. In a discussion in the comments over there, somebody said, add to that we are voices online, masked behind quirky screen names, hidden addresses, as well as no pictures or video of ourselves. If that's all we remain, we aren't solid pictures of trustworthiness or figureheads to give weight to having our inferences valued. He wasn't being rude to me. What he was basically saying is that if you hide behind an avatar, some people are not going to take you seriously. I don't have a problem with what he said, and I actually kind of agree with him, but I do have a problem with it being true. Because it is sadly true, and it's very much along the same lines as people who will tell you that they won't listen to your argument if you swear. I actually saw that one time. I was reading some political discussion, and somebody dropped an F-bomb, and the guy he was talking to responded, as soon as I see somebody swear, I stop listening to anything they have to say. Both cases are just bullshit. There's no reason somebody with a cartoon avatar can't make a good, valid point. If your problems with somebody is that they swear or that they have a cartoon avatar, then you don't really have a problem with their argument. You have a problem with the way they're presenting their argument. You're actually avoiding the argument rather than having to discuss it. And in my own experience, that's usually because you've lost the argument. When I run into people who have a problem with me swearing or who think I'm too blunt, or even people who think that I should be discounted simply because I use a monkey as my avatar, it's almost exclusively at the end of a long argument where I have countered everything they've said with logic, facts, reason, and they have nothing left. The only thing they have left is to distract, and that's what happens. That's what this bullshit argument is about. And it's seeped into our society to a point where it's actually considered legitimate to delegitimize somebody because of a cartoon avatar? Because they said fuck? What the fuck kind of world does that make sense in? If I say racism is fucking horrible, is my argument bad because I said fucking in there? You can't completely discount what somebody says based on those trivial matters. And they're fucking trivial. How you present an argument is not nearly as important as the argument that's being made. And we've lost that as a society. It no longer matters whether or not you're making a good point, especially if you're arguing with somebody on the left. Oh, dear God, will they lose their shit. Especially among the social justice warriors and the anti-bullying crowd. If your argument is too blunt or you don't call somebody an asshole in a nice way, then it's perfectly okay to dismiss everything you've said. You're not even worth listening to. Go fuck yourself. There's nothing I've ever said online that I wouldn't say in person. The only caveat to that is that there are times and places for comments. I would never stand up in the middle of a meeting at work and start talking about my political beliefs. There's a time and a place for everything. But if I'm in a situation where we're having a discussion about political beliefs, I have no problem expressing myself exactly the same way I do online. The only difference is that in real life, people aren't looking at a cartoon monkey, they're actually looking at me. And I mean that sincerely, that's the only difference. I still swear, I'm still perfectly blunt about it. If I think something is fucking retarded, that's how I say it. I don't say, I think you misunderstood the point. I will say, I think that's fucking retarded. And then I will go on to explain why I think it's fucking retarded. So if I'm not ashamed of what I say, and I would say the same things in person, why do I hide behind a cartoon monkey? Simple, I needed my job. At the time I started blogging, I worked for a company that was quite well known to take real-world action against things people said online. If one of their employees said something that they considered offensive, they had no problem firing them. I have a wife and children and needed a job. I'm not independently wealthy, so I had to build in plausible deniability. On the off chance that something I said was ever reported to my superiors, I needed a way to say, that's not me. And to this day, there's no way, aside from digging into IP addresses and stuff, that you can look at what I've written or said online and go, that is absolutely him. There is plausible deniability built into everything I've done, and it has nothing to do with being ashamed or hiding because I think my opinions are wrong. It has everything to do with the fact that in today's world, you can lose your livelihood based on things you said online, even if they're not actually offensive. All it takes is somebody getting offended. We've moved up to a place in our society where nothing is more important than feelings. So if somebody is offended, even if what you said wasn't offensive, if you say the sun is out and somebody's offended by that, you are offensive. By definition, since you said something that offended somebody, you are offensive. Now, whether it's reasonable for them to be offended or not has lost its place in life. We no longer actually give a damn whether or not something is reasonably offensive. It's all about whether or not somebody was offended. As somebody who needed their job, I had to worry very much about whether or not I was offending people. I didn't want to censor myself, but I also didn't want to lose my job. So I had to come up with a compromise solution, and the Ranting Monkey was born. As I'm still not independently wealthy, I still rely on somebody else for my paycheck, I still have to hide behind the monkey. And yes, saying that I'm hiding behind a monkey is a perfectly reasonable thing to say, because I absolutely am. I am hiding this. I am building in plausible deniability just in case. Now, if I ever get independently wealthy, you might see my beautiful face. Until then, I have to think about my family. I assure you, I am just as upset that I have to hide behind a monkey, as cute as he is, as anybody else might be. But the truth of the matter is, most people who bring up, oh, you're hiding behind a monkey, or I'm not listening to you because you said the F word, or any other bullshit nonsense like that, they don't really give a shit about how you're presenting your argument. All they're looking to do is end the argument because they've already lost it. They're looking for an easy out of the argument. They've already lost logically and reasonably. The facts and figures show them to be absolutely wrong, and they have nowhere else to go. They have no way to counter what's been said, so their next step is to distract. Their next step is to, oh, you're hiding behind a monkey, or, hey, you said the F word, you shouldn't say that, that's bad. That means you have no real argument. If you point out that their argument is fucking retarded, and you go through and explain why that argument is retarded, the only thing they're going to look at is, you said fucking retarded. We're not allowed to say retard anymore. You're obviously a horrible person. And the original point goes away. They don't have to defend it any longer. They can discount everything you said because you said retarded. Here's the deal. If you have a problem with what somebody says, me or anyone else, make your argument about the context of what they said. By all means, if you want to throw a fit over them saying retarded or fuck or that they're hiding behind an avatar, do that. But also address the fucking point that was being made to you. This idea that you can discount what somebody says because of how they said it or what their online avatar is fucking stupid. It's killing rational, reasonable debate. Most of the arguments like this come from liberals. Your social justice warriors, your feminists, your nothing is more important than feelings type people. People who generally don't have an actual argument to make, so they need to distract the conversation. And this is nothing more than another front in the label wars. Instead of crying racist or sexist, which they will still do, they point to, oh, you said bad words, you were rude, you're a troll. And with that ammunition, they can ignore everything else you said. They don't have to face reality. It gives them an out without them actually having to use their fucking brains or to make a rational, reasonable point. It needs to stop. It's dumbing down the argument. If you want to talk about how I have a cartoon avatar, or the fact that I say fuck too much, or that I called somebody a name, or that I'm mean, that's fine. You can do that. I have no problem with people saying that. We can have that discussion. But we're going to have that discussion also. What you need to do is, if you disagree with something that I say, address my fucking point. Otherwise, you're just being an asshole, and yeah, there really is no reason for us to talk. I'm the Ranting Monkey. If you enjoyed this, please hit the like button, consider subscribing and sharing with your friends, and I will see you next time.